Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Sunday World is reporting that there is tension between the ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula and the ANC Gauteng chairperson Panyaza Lesufi. When he spoke actually in Parliament recently, Panyaza seemed to be confrontational and disdainful towards the coalition that the ANC has with the Democratic Alliance. Let me play that clip for you.
Comrade President, I want to close on this score and my apologies to those that are partners in the government of national unity. Comrade President, there is something that is called the Basic Education Amendment Laws. I'm asking you, President, politely and respectfully so, sign that law. Sign that law. There must be no institution here, President, when the sixth administration and this particular house has passed that particular law. And the law is very simple, President. We are prepared to listen to any other person that wants to raise any view. But the law is simple. All our children must be in the same classroom and taught by the same teacher. What's wrong with that particular proposal? What's wrong with that particular proposal? That the language of teaching must incorporate all 12 languages, that there must be no language that is excluded. What's wrong with that particular proposal? That every child that is in ECD must be a formal education system starting from ECD. What's wrong with that particular proposal? And therefore, President, sign that particular law. We'll debate later with all other people. Thank you so much.
This feeds into narratives that, there is a certain amount of independence that Gauteng is trying to show, and also a different strategic approach that Gauteng is trying to show for the voters. So apparently, the tension between the Secretary General and the ANC chairperson led to him actually asking Panyaza Lesufi to explain the T-shirt that he was wearing. If you recall, when Panyaza Lesufi announced that the Democratic Alliance was being given an ultimatum to join the coalition or they would go a different direction, he had a big T-shirt on which said, "Don't kill Chris Hani again." And that's a very provocative message. And it's a message that seemed to be indicating that certain decisions that were being made were decisions which were anti-Chris Hani's spirit. It also was an usurpation of the mantle of Chris Hani by Panyaza to say he is the one who is going to be carrying the values, philosophies, and principles of Chris Hani. Whether that's something that everybody accepts or not, in terms of, Panyaza seems to be more of a capitalist than he does seem to be a socialist, whereas Chris Hani seemed to be very much against capitalist living, high-end living. But nonetheless, he wore that T-shirt. It was provocative. And apparently, Fikile Mbalula then had to confront him to ask him to explain kwedini ukuthi yini le T-shirt oyigqokile. Let me play you the clip.
And when I saw Panyaza wearing the T-shirt he was wearing, I asked the meaning of that. Even in philosophical terms, I didn't understand it properly. Yeah. What does he mean by that and all of that? Who is he directing that to? And then obviously we live in the world of lack of engagement. So I discussed with them. I discussed with Panyaza. He explained to me. And then I discussed with the leadership of the province. And I said, we shouldn't sustain perceptions through reckless communication, because we give an impression where there is none, that like Gauteng is defiant.
So ANC Gauteng is being suspected of, or being rather accused through, social media accounts and other platforms of preferring a relationship with Umkhonto weSizwe and EFF. And this is part of, I guess, criticism and skepticism of them. And that's something that is viewed as being anti the interest of President Ramaphosa as things stand. I'm not sure if that's fully credible, because I think the ANC in Gauteng also appreciates that the MK party is a threat to them nationally, as well as the EFF being a threat to them. And also a key EFF leader lost a position of treasurer in Ekhuruleni. So I'm not entirely persuaded that, the Gauteng ANC is preferring this cozy relationship with MK and EFF. It almost seems as if what is being done within the Ramaphosa faction is almost this demonization through EFF and MK association, because those are the parties that led to the ANC falling below 50% to 40%. So it almost seems as if all you have to do now is say, no, these people are with MK or these people are with EFF, and then that discredits someone within the ANC. It does not seem to me as if Panyaza Lesufi views himself as a peer, equal, or collaborator or colleague of Julius Malema. In fact, Julius Malema has said that he had a closer relationship with Mbalula for a long period of time. If anybody would have a relationship, it would be the two of them, right? In any case, this suspicion could be part of the contestation that is happening for positions for the future leadership of the ANC. The Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, apparently does not view the ANC in Gauteng as an example of how other provinces should be conducting themselves. In the reporting, it says that there's factionalism that he has viewed in Gauteng. He also says that, the focus in Gauteng is on deployments and not really on organizational work. He says that Gauteng is fueling the narrative that they are actually against Luthuli House. But he says that it's impossible for them to succeed in that narrative, and that young people in Gauteng who are part of the ANC he says young and energetic members of Gauteng ANC must focus on building the ANC and not on reckless communication gymnastics, right? The same report indicates or suggests that this is all happening as well because Fikile Mbalula is posturing for his own leadership bid at the ANC conference in 2027, right? Apparently, Panyaza is not interested in the position. I'm not sure if that's likely to be true. But as you know, the ANC has a tradition that the vice president then becomes the president. That tradition was a little bit deviated from with Didi Mabuza, but it may very well be likely that people are going to reset. As things stand, and these are my views, the ANC has a credibility challenge at the base level due to the coalition with ANC, not with ANC, with the Democratic Alliance. This crisis of credibility is due to the ideological posturing of the Democratic Alliance as a neoliberal party, a far-right party, a party that rejects affirmative action, a party that rejects social justice, a party that rejects any form of redistribution of land. The base of the ANC is mixed, but by and large, it leans to the left. It is a base that is full of socialists, it's full of communists, it's full of people who view themselves as progressive. So even though right now, in the elite structures of the ANC, there is a lot of joy and happiness and a lot of good vibes, at the base of the ANC, there's a lot of animosity, resentment, and there's a challenge of credibility due to these decisions. And we recently saw one of the leaders of the left, from the unions, saying that the ANC sold out. That's a narrative that's going to continue to persist. And in juxtaposition to that narrative, Panyaza Lesufi is viewed as not having sold out, as somebody who said, don't kill Chris Hani again, somebody who stood for the integrity, the values of the ANC. And while Fikile Mbalula was defending the coalition, Panyaza Lesufi found a way to work around the coalition. So as Cyril Ramaphosa enters the end of his term going towards conference, in terms of leadership of the ANC, there are going to be people who are going to be looking at what is the best way to save the ANC from the decline that has been happening. The other real challenge that everyone is aware of is that the ANC has been declining from 57 to 40. And prior to that, it was in the 60s. People are also going to appreciate within the ANC that the ANC is going to have a different terrain where they're operating. They are likely to continue to have challenges in KwaZulu-Natal due to the way that they did that IFP deal. The majority, or rather the party which won a plurality of the votes in KwaZulu-Natal was Mkhonto Wesizwe. ANC got 17%, IFP got 18%, DA got 13%. And they worked together to maneuver to deny the people of KwaZulu-Natal their most preferred option, which was leadership of the MK. That is not going to be something that goes away. Even if you are enjoying power and moving ahead as if nothing happened, these kind of decisions come back to bite you in the bum. You can check what happened in the UK with Rishi Sunak. After Boris Johnson was removed, first, Liz Truss was elected, she won, Rishi Sunak lost at conference. And then Liz Truss was then removed after she made a series of blunders and Rishi Sunak came in and he was put in that position by the parliamentary benches of the Conservative Party. After being put in that position, many in the base of the organization were unhappy with everything that had been done. And when it was time for election, a lot of them did not vote for the party. They voted for Reform UK and others even voted for Labour, the rival. So if you think that some of the decisions that have been made are not coming back in the coming local government elections and also in 2029, you're mistaken. These things are going to come back. Voters are not going to forget everything. And this coalition is not likely to change much from what we heard in the State of the Parliament opening address. So the problems that are being faced by many people will continue to persist. And this will likely lead to, continued loss of support in KwaZulu-Natal. What this means is that Gauteng becomes an important swing province for the 2027 conference and also for other elections. Limpopo, Eastern Cape, these are safe provinces. Western Cape is generally not a strong province for the ANC, and Mpumalanga is competitive, but you're likely to see a shrinking also of support of the ANC due to strong performance by MK and EFF. So what happens in Gauteng becomes very big for the future of the ANC. This is why you're seeing this contestation between Mbalula as well as Panyaza Lesufi. Even if they're contesting for vice president, if you assume that Paul Mashatile will be able to hold on, not get charged, etc., because remember, News 24 is really working against Paul Mashatile. He may very well be charged at any given point before the 2027 conference and pushed out. But let's assume he stays, then they're competing for vice president. Let's assume he doesn't stay, then the race for president is wide open. If the race for president is wide open, even though Ronald Lamola is seemingly the preference that President Ramaphosa has, he didn't do very well in the last conference. And as such, I wouldn't put him in a front runner position. He's likely not to do better than Fikile Mbalula and or Panyaza Lesufi. Panyaza right now has a lot of currency. And what it seems as if is clear here is that the ANC in and of itself is going to struggle to maintain cohesion all the way to 2027 and all the way to 2029. So in as much as there are also instabilities that we spoke about in an earlier episode today around contestations within the coalition cabinet, it seems as if there are emerging rivalries in the ANC itself as people begin to posture themselves for the next leadership race. And that leadership race is going to be explosive. Even though President Ramaphosa has resources and money, even though he has the support of billionaires such as Patrice Motsepe, who's his brother-in-law and stuff, that money may have limited run if the person who it's backing is Ronald Lamola. And this is why we're beginning to see contestations between the Office of the Secretary General, which views itself as the custodian of the ANC and the branches, and the offices of Gauteng province, which views itself as being the true ideological vanguard of the ANC. And Fikile Mbalula has another challenge, is that he is going to be viewed as the person who failed to stymie the losses that the ANC faced, because he was the person who was head of elections. And because he put himself in that position, it also puts him in a position where he can get strong criticism as conference comes that he was part of the reason why things have failed. This is why now he's moving in a very contrite and diplomatic manner, because I think he realizes also that he's vulnerable, which is why perhaps these allegations and accusations are now being thrown in the direction of ANC Gauteng. But what do you guys think? Are you an ANC supporter? Do you think that Panyaza Lesufi is a better option for senior leadership than Fikile Mbalula? Do you think that the reporting in Sunday World is accurate? Of course, I mean, some of it is in video, so there's nothing that can be disputed there. But it does look as if there are challenges. What do you think, though? Do you think that the ANC can survive a battle between Mbalula and Gauteng and maybe other people who may also view themselves as legitimate voices to be the future leaders of the party? Panyaza is in a good position. He's controlling resources. He's premier of the industrial hub of South Africa and Africa. So we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Let's meet in the comments. I love reading your comments. Love reading your thoughts and takes. Till the next one.